sensational. Welcome to the New Champions Postgame Show. Thanks for stopping by. Hate to see you go. Welcome to the Postgame Show. Welcome to the Postgame Show. Break us down, build us up. Who stood on the head? Who fucked up?
To another edition of the New Champions Postgame Show. I am your host, Matt Diegert, and as always, I have my third manageable partner with me for postgame, student body right.
Dalton, what's that?
And we are joined by Jake, our data guy tonight for the postgame show. So, Jake, how are you tonight?
Fantastic. How could I be anything but that? That was a nice victory, playoff victory. We can't take those lightly.
No, you cannot. And the nice thing is, I actually heard it on the radio on the way to the restaurant here. The fifth year in a row that the Bills have won a playoff game. First time in the franchise history on that. And we want to think about it, in any in context, when they went to 4 Super Bowls and they did all that, that winning all through the 90s. They never put together 4 or 5 playoff victories in a row as far as seasons go.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and it's.
So what do you think about that, Jake?
I think that's kind of the theme is for today is like don't take these lightly, don't take these for granted. We waited 17 years without even getting to the playoffs, let alone winning one. So I think we got to celebrate these and appreciate them for what they are. And they sure made it look easy in the second half, but they're never easy, man. In the playoffs, it is always a battle, and it's huge to come out with a win. What's up, 716?
And real quick, I do want to welcome in
us.
Sports Blizzard. He said it's his first. He said it's his first time joining the show, so definitely want to thank all of our new listeners. Anybody who's new listening, big victory tonight. 31-7 was the final, correct, Jake?
Yep. 31-7.
Yeah. So as far as I mean, and it was 10-7 at half, right? I mean, that's kind of what you were alluding to with the Bills kind of didn't pick it up until the second half. They came out, they drove right down the field. They had the 25-yard pass to Dawson Knox, and unfortunately they couldn't get into the end zone there. But we saw they decided to stay out of the red zone, pretty much from there on out for the rest of the game, and because they we talked about it last night in Third Manageable. The Broncos are third in the NFL in red zone efficiency on defense. So that's definitely something that they took advantage of. They were also third in rushing, and the Bills put up 213 yards on the ground itself. Do we have an update yet on Ray Davis, speaking of running backs?
I haven't seen anything yet on him. I don't think he went to the hospital or anything, though.
No, and we know he left with a concussion. Yeah, he left with a concussion. We know that was a pretty scary hit that he took, a little bit of a dirty, cheap shot as he's trying to, catch a ball. It was a little bit overthrown by Josh. You would have liked to see him put it, not put his receiver, his running back in harm's way on that throw. But when it comes down to it, it's a ball that gets put out there, and we see those all throughout the NFL. So,
yeah, I mean,
whether he doesn't make the catch, the defender can't be shooting his head.
Right, but I mean, that's on Josh. He knew it. That's a bad throw. He let him way too much. You got to put that right on the running back. That's one where you throw it right into his body. You don't lead him. That way he can protect himself. And Josh knew, or you throw that low. And so it's hard to fault the defender. I don't think he was trying to do anything dirty there. But, yeah, I mean, it was straight head-to-head, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that he was headhunting, But
Right.
I mean, that's unfortunately that's what ended up happening, and that's what it looked like when being at the stadium. That's what it looked like. I don't know how it looked on TV until I watched the game back later, but
yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything
like I said,
egregious.
I mean, it's no, definitely not. And and you don't like to see those type of hits, those scary hits in the NFL. They're trying to get rid of them. That's why you saw the flag come right out. As soon as that hit had happened, it was funny. One of the judges, one of the back judges, fumbled the flag, couldn't get it out of his pocket, but he was reaching for it. You could see that, which was quite funny. But no, I mean, I'll start it off real quickly. The Ty Johnson touchdown. That is our Cavness drive of the game. That was a little bit over 7 minutes of a drive, and 9 plays, and it ended up on an MVP type play from Josh Allen throwing that in the end zone. And something that Ty Johnson's done all year is go down and scoop that ball up off the turf. And Josh put it in a place where only he could get it. So that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That was a massive play in the game, and what a throw! I mean, when you actually go back and watch that throw is just insane. Like, he's going backwards. It's almost like off his back foot, and it's over 30 yards. It's probably closer to 40 air yards. And it's an amazing throw, and then what a great catch too by Ty in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, and to keep his feet. Well, I should say to keep his knee in bounds, because his foot hit almost a millisecond after his knee hit, and it was. I can understand why that they had the play stand. We didn't get to see the replay until after or right before they called it play stands. From the refs in the stadium. And we're all waiting to see it, and that's probably the best thing for them not to do. But at this point in New York, they're looking at everything anyways. All scoring plays are reviewed, so it's not like they get an advantage or disadvantage at this point anymore. With Sean Payton having to throw a flag or throw a challenge flag on that. So Tommy says rumor Bills versus Ravens. Sunday at 6:30 is the potential rumor.
That makes sense.
Does that game,
you heard
how does that time slot fit you, Jake?
Well, you heard Romo and Nance. You didn't hear it because you were at the game, but Romo and Nance said they're going to be calling that game next week. So it makes sense that they're the afternoon or evening game on Sunday, since that's normally the Romo Nance spot. I like it, man.
Yeah, that's
love
normally
the
Jim Nance and Romo thing.
They don't know how to do the roundabout.
Yeah, and something that was actually announced in the stadium. I don't know if they announced it on the broadcast, but it was Jim Nance's 500th NFL game that he called, which is actually an amazing accomplishment from announcers. I can't wait to go back and watch the game and actually hear how they called that game, because it was a really good game to watch. And going back to that touchdown to Ty Johnson, you said as you're watching it, it was a beautiful throw on. It was weird. It almost looked like the ball was in slow motion, and the way that Ty Johnson tracked it and then caught it off the turf was just a thing of beauty.
Yeah, that drive was really big too. I mean, if you think about everything that happened, right? It's a one-score game. It's 13-7. They start out with a 1-yard run, 13-yard pass, and then they have a 10-yard penalty, and so it goes to 1st and 20. Josh runs it for 7 yards, and then you get the second down and 13, and that's the throw to Ray Davis. So you got the unnecessary roughness, 15-yard penalty, and then you had the 13-yard pass to Dawson Knox, and then obviously the touchdown on 4th and 1, and good on McDermott for going for it on 4th down, and that's just an unbelievable play by Josh Allen. And then I would say, the next drive for the Bills was massive as well. Go ahead.
I think he got his phone ready and everything like that. We're having a little difficulty with the So that's just kind of the theme of us here is technical difficulties. That just all kidding aside, but we put a lot of work into the production that we try and do, and welcome in Student Body Right.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me? Jake, you good?
Yeah, man, I can hear you good.
Jake, man, I missed a little. I did. Yeah. I can hear it. Matt,
yeah,
Matt, you're a little bit on lag.
Now.
Matt, why don't you come in the car with me real quick? Let's do this right. Jake, man, what a win.
That's all right. I'm good.
Okay. Jake, man, what a win, dude. What's the feeling you're taking away from that, and can we savor this one, man? That was good.
Yeah, man, it was unreal. I mean, I think the takeaway for me is playoff Josh, and then that offensive line. I mean, the offensive line absolutely dominated the game.
Sure did.
The run game established it, and then Josh took it over in the second half, and it was pretty much a historic performance from Josh Allen as far as efficiency, EPA, advanced metrics. I mean, it was unreal. So,
Jake, these have got to being the head of data analytics at Duke Champions. These have got to be the fun ones to analyze.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot of fun when they do the stuff that he does. So Josh against the blitz, right? That's the talking point that you talked about a lot on your show. Josh had a 75% success rate when blitzed versus the Broncos today. It's tied the fourth highest success rate by any quarterback in a playoff game with 10-plus dropbacks since 2000. So that is fourth out of 140.
Jeez
it's
Louise.
a historic performance, man. And then his deep ball today was on point. His 20-plus air yard throws, he was 4 of 6 for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns for a quarterback rating of 149.3. So just unreal by Josh.
I mean, there's not much that you can ask a single entity to do, but it wasn't just a single entity. I mean, I think Eric Wood nailed it on the head last night, admonishing Aaron Cromer in the job he's done. That offensive line, barring that offsides from Spencer Brown on the 2-inch yard line, didn't even affect the flow of the game. Alec Anderson came in as he always does, man. I just from a guy who really played like Eric Wood, for him to impart that last night about what it was going to be on the offensive line, and then it became what it was. Man, I think that should instill confidence in fans. That a high level guy seeing it, fans should believe it, and with this guy number 17 at the helm, I mean, through God, all things are possible. Through Josh, many more things seem possible. Jake, the dichotomy between a rookie Bo Nix and Josh, that was palatable.
Yep. And I think
ahead.
it was also the lack of playoff experience from the team, right? I mean, the Broncos had a couple pretty big drops by receivers. They weren't doing Nix a lot of favors there, and you didn't see that from the Bills side. Guys were making big catches. That Kincaid layout catch was unreal. The Ty Johnson
max effort.
Right. And so guys stepping up, making big plays, and then you didn't see the same thing from the Broncos. So I think that playoff experience is a real thing.
Jake, I got to ask you, because you're kind of leading the charge on this, and I think a lot of people are falling in line, like a movie out of Braveheart. Smiley, what's the deal, man?
I've been talking about it since the offseason. He doesn't get into the details. He doesn't self-scout. I don't see that, because teams keep finding things that we're doing that are weaknesses, and then they're exploiting it, and you saw it today. I mean, the Gunners are, they peek back for 1 second, and then they turn their backs and they run away, and so that's what happened in that play. The punter waited a second and then threw the outbreaker, and he was wide open because the Gunners aren't ready for it. And that's something you got to be prepared for in this game too, right? It's Sean Payton. It's a 7 seed, on the road. Like, you got to be prepared for special teams and
sure. And Jake, it's the only phase of the game that lacks total discipline at least once. And you only get so many shots to make special teams or make special plays on special teams. But these are just they're not bonehead. They're just, we're finding many different ways to mess up what this league has come to accept as routines. Field goals are hard. They're not binary once you cross that imaginary red line. I know that's data, but that's not 100%. Yep. But it's not just Tyler Bass. It's not just the kicking element. It's lining up. It's lining up with correct splits. It's lining up with lane integrity, and you have guys like Reed Ferguson, who's been there a while. Tyler's been there a while. Gilliam's been there a while, and they all are so good in other phases of the game. It's just in totality, the lack of discipline Man, I hope we're not talking about this next week at the Ravens, because the Ravens have the power to exploit when Denver just couldn't. But we did open the door to bad things happening. Is that going to carry with you to next week, Jig? Not to grace past today, but I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, right? The margins get smaller, and those plays really matter. Stealing a possession, that could have really swung that game. If that offense is able to do anything on that drive, that turns that game. And so, it's big on our defense to come out and answer, but it's hard to get mad at the players too. I think that's why I get so mad at Smiley, is because it's the other team exploiting just a weakness. It's not on the player not executing properly. It's the player not being coached to look for certain things or to do certain things, or hey, play a little farther off here because this is territory where they could run a fake. Things like that. And so
yeah, and
that's where I get frustrated.
We're still trying to, in a phase of the game that it's so unsettled, right? And we have to plug in different players because we're just lacking identity there. That's how people like Ryan Vandermark get scratched. That's how these people that do provide that little je ne sais quoi for a really humming offense don't get their shot to inflict their will, because there's so much volatility on the third phase of the game. I'm getting a little fired up about it, but I'm getting a little fired up that this is the only chink in the armor. I feel like, and Jake, we've been doing this for a lot of weeks, man, and it's like it's all the same, only the names will change except Smiley.
Right. No, I agree. And I think that's what's just frustrating, is it's like you don't just fix this, right? Like, it's not like, oh, we won't let that happen again. Like, no, that's not it. It's something else will be exploited. It'll be another weakness that another team will find. And that's what's frustrating. And then you don't see us finding those weaknesses, right? Like, you don't see us blocking kicks. You don't see us blocking field goals.
That fake punt was was a head-to-head. We've done a better scouting, and we were so confident. I mean, they were in minus territory when they pulled that off. Yep. Right? They're so confident that we could be exploited in that phase of the game.
Yep.
It didn't even feel like a roll of the dice with that call, because it was just there wasn't a country mile defender that was aware of what was unfolding until too late. Jake, let's do it really quick, man. What was the peak? What was the pit? I think we know the pit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always Smiley for me, so that was definitely the pit for me. The peak, I want to go on the defense here. I'll let you have the offense. I'm going to go with the defense here. I think in critical situations today, they stepped up and made plays. The pass rush wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I thought the back seven played really disciplined. I thought they made the plays they needed to, and they didn't give up the big explosives besides that first drive. They really locked down after that first drive, and they did a great job. And then, not to mention, stopping the run. That's what we said. If you make Denver be one-dimensional, that's how you succeed. And the defense was able to do that. So for me, that's the peak, is seeing the defense be able to step up and give up only 7 points, man. And I thought that was great.
Yep. The peak for me was the offense. It was that Josh was so tuned in to any type of disguise, any type of coverage. Hey, man, if you want to disguise a rat spy on Josh and try to make it look like too high, your safeties better be able to get back quick. And they're side shuffling, everything like that. And James Cook, man, you're running a rat spy on Josh. What happens if he's in pro set? How you can't cover both. He did an amazing job of being a safety valve and a threat. To have a threat at the safety valve is incredible, and you take a defender out of the game. Because if you can't get to Josh and there's a spy, that's beauty. They're already playing man down, and you have a guy like James Cook getting the opportunity to have the ball in space. And Jake, he's done it all year,
Yeah. No, and I think that's a good point just in general is space in this game. You saw Curtis Samuel. This was his first playoff game. And
good to see him get one.
Yeah, they found him in space. Khalil Shakir as well in space. Both those guys. So the league average in wide receiver separation is 2.98 yards, right? That's the league average. Curtis Samuel, 5.52 yards this game, and Khalil Shakir, 5.6 yards. So both those guys were consistently beating man coverage, getting open, and then not to mention the yak, right? The yards after catch for both those guys I thought was big in this game.
Jake, what did you think about the video? And I'm not sure you saw it, and guys, if you haven't seen it, one of the big aggregate accounts, it did appear our head referee today. Remind me who? The V. Was it Alex V?
It was Bill Venovich, I think.
Bill Venovich. It does appear that there is some type of apology directed at Josh for what is being assumed as a pretty egregious holding penalty.
The one where the video where he's on the bench talking to Josh.
Sure, yeah.
No, Josh.
We don't know the conversation that happened.
No. We know what happened.
We do.
Yeah, Josh in his post game was asked it.
Yeah.
So if people don't know, the video is Josh sitting on the bench, and Bill Venovich comes over to Josh on the bench and is talking to him. And it was after the play where Patrick Surtain held, I think it was Kincaid, and Josh wanted to throw to him, and it ended up being what? Did Josh get sacked there? I think.
It was a tumultuous outcome. I don't remember. It was something.
It was a sack, and we had to kick the field goal. So Bill Venovich came over to talk to Josh Allen, and people thought he was like apologizing, whatever. They asked Josh Allen about it. Josh said no.
Oh, okay.
He actually was telling me to calm down because I was yelling, and when I came over to the sideline, and I was a little out of control. I'm paraphrasing here, and he asked, he told me to just to tone it down some and to calm down. So,
but isn't there beauty seeing a quote like that? The passion of Josh Allen, yet the poise, the duality of passion and poise.
Right. Yeah. No. Totally.
Oh, I'm glad you cleared that up. That's that's good
All right,
stuff.
We got a question here from Steve,
Sure.
Or a comment, and this is something we talked about on my show specifically. I talked about it with my guest Ryan. I was shocked to see how often the Bills rushed 3 with Milano as the 4th D lineman and dropped out to spy. So I wanted to see the Bills run this. They do it against Kansas City, and I love it. And Bo Nix is a very athletic guy, and you saw it late in the game. He can run, man. He can really run. He had the second highest ball carrier speed in this game, by the way. So he can really move. He got over 20 miles per hour. So I really wanted to see the spy, especially on third downs and critical downs, and whether it's Bernard or Milano. And so I love to see that. You saw sometimes late in the game, Milano was actually coming off on third down, and they were bringing in Cam Lewis or Ingram. But I love that spy thing, man. And you're going to have to see it next week, too.
What Steve is actually referring to is when the Bills, when they get in the cover one, it's called cover one dog. When you're actually widening out the rush lanes for defensive linemen, and you're giving a little bit of agency to Matt Milano, because he is dynamically quick laterally and in space. You're giving him a little bit of agency to find the gap to fire, internal pressure, and you're widening it out. Your brilliant point with Bo Nix. You're trying to get him rattled because he doesn't know there could be a power drive to the left and a wide one out. And if you got the spy right there, he's got to make a decision, and it takes his eyes off from going downfield. So that's what's known as a cover one dog.
Yeah, and the point is you're trying to funnel him one direction, right? Like you want him to move. So then you can trigger your spy. Like you're only rushing 3 essentially, right? So you want 2 of your guys to be pushing him towards one way, right? And one might spike inside, but you're trying to flush him, right? Essentially.
And with our athletic safeties in our corners, that is a way to get baited to throw a ball that you think is there, but by the time it leaves your fingertips, you know it isn't going to be. Right. So, Jake, I'm glad you brought that up. Steve, thank you for the comment, man. Man, that was brilliant. We're talking a lot about cover one and spies and the robbers and the dogs and the rats. But there's beauty in the disguise of in those cover one things, because it can be so masqueraded as 2, and sometimes we break into. Yeah. And when you switch up personnel, and you're not getting a predicated look that you've seen on film, that you've seen most of the games, and you don't really have a handle, especially when you're running such a chaotic scheme, that is going to rattle people, especially when they haven't seen it and they're playing behind. Because you got to start making plays. You're kind of getting out of the run game, right? And it gets frustrating. I saw a frustrated Bo Nix. I saw an erratic Bo Nix. I saw a rookie for the first time in a while under center for the Broncos.
Yeah, and I think that's, part of what we talked about game script being so important. This Bills defense, like a lot of defenses, are so much better when they have the lead, right? And they're able to dictate terms and make you one-dimensional. And you saw that. They can get way more exotic with their coverages, with their looks. And you saw that here in this game. Like that drive out of the half to get up, a touchdown, and then hold them again and then score. Once it became 21-7, it was just, unleash the dogs essentially for that defense. But I think that's where game script, next week, if we're looking ahead, is so important. Like in the Bills' 3 losses, the first 2 possessions, they went down at least 2 scores after the first 2 possessions in all 3 of their losses. That's the common theme. And so you saw that here today, right? The Broncos got out and scored, and so the Bills were able to respond at least with points and got a field goal, and then the defense was able to settle in. I think that's the big thing next week is you can't allow the Ravens to score multiple times without answering or without stopping them.
Jake, when you run it back in just brief Bills history, I'm not talking the drought. I'm talking about what it's been for a while. Can you think of what will be a more anticipated, a more marquee in a game in bigger lights than the Ravens and the Bills? You got Lamar, you got Josh, and you got people that are there to dog it out.
Yeah, I think it's probably in recent memory, it's got to be right up there with the AFC Championship game, in Kansas City. As far as magnitude, because you're talking about, the 2 MVP, front runners, whatever, going at it. This is a legacy game essentially for either one of them to then go to the AFC Championship. Those things matter here, and head-to-head battles, records, those things matter too, whether you think wins are a quarterback stat or not. Like, those things do get looked on and do matter. So I think it's massive. We have a couple questions here about the game. Sure. So Steve's asking, he's banking on it being Saturday night. I don't think so with the crew being Romo and Nance. They said it on the broadcast that it's going to be them again. So that makes me think it's Sunday. I think usually they're the Sunday afternoon or evening game on Sunday. Tommy said he heard a rumor that he thinks it's Sunday at 6:30, and that would make sense to me if it's Romo and Nance.
Well, we're going to be with Jim Overdorf in a little bit, so we'll try and hem that up. Okay. So, yeah, Jake, let me ask you. Go ahead. Keep going, sir.
No, and then he was asking, too, when we find out when the Ravens play. Normally they announce it, I think, either during the night game tonight or...
Well, we do have a game tomorrow, right?
Right, but it's the NFC game, so I'm thinking maybe they announce it tomorrow for the AFC side, tonight for the AFC side, but I could be wrong.
Jake, I got a question for you. Let's talk about the hot hand fallacy. What's a narrative that you can dispel right now, if any, that the data would suggest otherwise? I'll give you an open forum. Don't you feel like you got to make anything up? Let's call it the hot hand fallacy. Is there any narrative out there that you could dispel with data? And is there anything that people should know or pay more attention to that has caught the glimmer in your eye?
I would say probably especially since it's going to come up next week, but to stop the run, you need to load the box. You need to stack the box. That is a statistical fallacy. I know you know this from playing on the defensive side as well, that there's no stat that says if you put more people in the box, you have a better chance to stop the run. That is not true. That doesn't exist. It's not a thing. So yes, the whole talk, I guarantee you, is going to be about how do we stop this run. We got to put more guys, we got to overload the box, and that's just not a real thing. It's about guys, and you can explain it better than I do, but it's a
I think you're doing it brilliantly.
Not getting turned out of your gaps. It's it's just having the right assignments, the right keys, all that stuff. That is way more important, and the stats back that up than having more guys in the box. Just put more guys in the box. That is a statistical fallacy.
Now, Jake, in reviewing the loss of our first loss to the Ravens, are there any things that you think are going to be tangibly different, just from your fandom, that come to mind from the first time we played this team? Everybody knows what we talk about all the time. It's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to beat a team once, let alone twice. Is there anything that you think we've grown from? There's anything that you think we are intangibly different from the team we were when we played that team of the Ravens earlier in the year?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. The first thing so far, right, is
health.
It looks like, right, exactly. I think we're way healthier. I think the linebacker core is in a much better position for this game than it was when we played. Right,
exactly.
Milano's keeps looking better and better every single week. He looked even better this week. You got Bernard healthy, and you have Dorian Williams healthy and ready to be there in reserve. And I think they are going to break out that base, 3 linebacker look situationally in this game, and we didn't have that ability. I also think
we had a couple guys who were dog tired. Right. Dog tired. It wasn't so much. There was no inflicting your will at that point. It was like the offense couldn't get anything going. They're not getting their legs back. They're not getting their lungs back, and they got to go back on the field and face the beating of Derrick Henry. And then when they gave Derrick Henry a break, it was Lamar Jackson's time to shine.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of that was, I mean, we got utterly outcoached in that game. It was a week 3 game. It was tough. And they pulled out stuff. I hate early games against opponents like that. And you know this from playing. Playing early in the season is tough, man. You don't have a lot of tape. There's not a lot of tendencies. It's easy to bring out new stuff, right? Because you haven't had all season to have to use up your stuff. So you still have a lot of stuff in the menu. And
you haven't carved out an identity.
Right, and you saw that the first snap of the game for Baltimore on offense. They pulled out a run that we hadn't seen yet, a look with that wham run. It caught us off guard, and it was, 86-yard touchdown. Now there's a lot more tape. I think the Bills are going to be a lot more prepared, and I think the scheme's going to be a lot better. And so I think that's another part of this game that's different. And don't get me wrong, this Baltimore team is better than they were then. Their defense is for sure better. They're playing really good defense, and so it's going to be a dogfight, man. But I really think this is the first time we're going to see, knock on wood, but a healthy Bills team, this far into the playoffs. We haven't seen it yet.
Hey, Jake, are the votes already in, or does the winner of this game have the edge up in the that big 3-letter abbreviation, and it's a superlative?
Yeah, votes were in, I think, January 8th. I think it's going to be Lamar. I think Lamar's going to win. It's the same voters that vote for the AP, quarterback, and he won that, and so it's the same voters, so it'd be weird if it was Josh. There's some rumor that it could be a co-MVP split thing like they did in 2004. Yeah,
2003. It was Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had it, and McNair, and that would just disgust me. You cowards, pick.
Right, and part of the thing too is like,
was it McNabb who didn't know there was a tie in the NFL, or was it McNair?
Yeah, right. That's a good call out. No, I think that's what's frustrating about this award is the goalposts have moved, and it's not the same thing as it used to be. I think it used to be a award where it was the most valuable, and it wasn't about stats. And now this year, it's just all it is stats, man. You see it, all the graphics and everything, and all people care about is the stats, and that's what's frustrating. It's no longer
all people
the most
care about
valuable.
is being selective about data that supports their argument, and it's increasingly hard to look at binary numbers without raw bias.
Yep. Well, what you don't see this year is you don't see the turnovers. You'll see the interception one because Lamar has 4 and Josh had 6. You don't see total turnovers this year because it doesn't fit the narrative.
That's such a minute difference.
Yeah. Well, but Lamar has
receiver's hands, and it hits your hands. You got to catch it.
Right. But fumbles, they don't include that, which they did last year. They're not doing it this year. And Lamar has way more fumbles lost than Josh. I think he has double. So, and it's just funny that they don't include that. I think he has like 8 fumbles or something. So,
Jake, get away from the eye test. I don't want to hear about data. Break it down to me in an elevator pitch, 30 seconds. How are they different? How are they the same? And how do they help their team win? Start with Lamar. How is he different than Josh? How is he the same? But how does he uniquely help his team win? And I'll try and do Josh.
All right. So for me with Lamar, it's always the threat of the run. And that's not a negative on him. And it's different than Josh.
And it shouldn't be.
Right. It's different than Josh. It's more design runs. It's more RPO. It is literally, is he going to hand it off, or is he going to run? And
that's exactly where I want to go.
You saw that this week, right? Like they were crashing down so hard on the running back every single play and leaving Lamar open, and he was just pulling it and running. And the Steelers were doing, the DNs were doing that all game, and that's a different thing. That's Lamar, man. That is the Lamar effect, and you can't take that away. You couple that with Derrick Henry, and it's brutal because then when he does pull it, he can still throw it, right? And so
exactly where I was going to go.
He can throw the ball, and he's gotten way better at seeing the field and being an accurate thrower. He's much more accurate than he has been. And so I think that's the dynamic that's different is they weaponize his running with his passing, and it's more in structure, right? It's planned, it's in the play, and then not to mention they have some great weapons that are really good at creating separation off script. I mean, Bateman is usually leads the league or top 2 or 3 in separation created for wide receivers. Mark Andrews is usually in the top 2 or 3 from creating separation as tight end. Isaiah Likely, I think, led the league in creating separation last year from the tight end position. So they have these guys that also fit into what they want to do. And so I think it's just different, right? They weaponize Lamar's legs instead of just allowing him to be a traditional passer, and then when the play breaks down, let him run.
And I'm going to build on that. I think the difference between Lamar and Josh is Lamar, it works in a system of schemed judgment.
Yep.
Josh works in a system where it's always implied judgment. What I mean by that, Lamar has the RPO. That's a scheme judgment call.
Yep.
Where Josh, it's implied judgment that he has agency to pull it down. Yep. He has agency to all out if he sees something. He has agency if he's got a slug and he's seeing what he appears to be a rat. Look, I have to believe Josh has that agency to go make a play, whereas Lamar is schemed that he has to do. He has to make the judgment. So I think it's the difference between scheme judgment and implied judgment. Your thoughts, man? I think it's the same thing.
No, I think it's great. And I think that's one area where Josh doesn't get enough credit is the pre-snap stuff. He is so advanced to what people think he is. Most people don't understand the stuff he's doing before the snap and how much he sees and what he recognizes. You saw a great example today, right? Like Denver tried to disguise some stuff, move guys around. Josh saw it. He went kill, right? Went to the next play. Denver adjusted again, and Josh didn't like the look, right? It wasn't the right look, and so he had to call a timeout and walk off the field. But that's a good play. That's a good timeout. Like neither your play was the right look, right? And that's the difference with Josh.
Live for another down,
Right. We got another question or a comment here from Steve. Henry makes Lamar so much scarier to me. It's really hard to make that duo one-dimensional. I agree with you, but I don't also want to discount what Cook has done this year for this offense and the offensive line too, right? Like it's a marriage, right? And same with the Ravens. They have a great offensive line, and so that threat of running being real matters for these guys. It matters for any quarterback. When you have a real threat to run the ball, it makes the quarterback's job so much easier because defenders are keying in on that, right? Your second level defenders especially are keying in on that, right? And the whole job, if you watch Josh and Joe Brady, they want to move those second level defenders one way or the other, right? And that's where they're going to attack is in that empty space. And so when you can influence that with the run, it's massive, man. And both these guys have that complement, Cook and Henry. But don't get me wrong, Henry is a generational Hall of Fame running back, right? It's another step above what Cook has brought, and that's not underselling what Cook has done at all. He's been fantastic.
Eric was in last night. If you guys counted 30 minutes, we had Eric Wood on last night, and just kind of on a social scape. We got to hear some war stories about the legend of the game, Kyle Williams, and just the raw passion. And Eric made a comment that still lives. Matt say it all the time. Like those old dogs, those Eric Woods, those Kyle Williams, those Poyers, Hides, they own the land, but this team's doing the construction. And they saved one of the best bits, Kyle Williams, to lead that charge. If it's up.
Looks like we might have had a little more technical difficulty and lost a student there, right, in prime rant mode. But yeah, I think what he's going to go to is what a time to bring Kyle Williams out, right? He's been, with his family and his sons, he's very involved in their sports and their community. But man, to get him back for the wild card and for this game, at home to pump everybody up. And also, I don't think it's undersold enough or maybe talked about enough before this game is having him in that locker room and talking to the Bills and talking to them about this game. I think is really big too because he helped sets the tone. I think this Bills team has everything they need right there. they have the roster, they have the players. It's a very tight knit team this year, and so to have a guy like him come in and remind them what they're playing for and how big this is, and don't waste an opportunity, I think is huge for them to be able to go on this run that hopefully they're embarking on. Right, this is the first step of going on this run. There's 3 more games. And so I think, having them fired up, having them motivated and focused is huge. And you saw that today, man. They came out and they were sharp. The team was sharp. Like, I think the big difference is early red zone, right? Denver is a fantastic red zone team this year. I think they're top 2 in red zone defense. And so besides that, the team was able to move the ball. The defense stepped up besides that first drive. They played really, really well. And then you didn't see the same mistakes. You saw Denver making mistakes and just not capitalizing on opportunities like the Bills were. I mean, that Kincaid catch was ridiculous down the field on third down, and then the 4th down play to Ty Johnson. It's just stuff like that that's huge for the team. The Khalil Shakir, stepping in to be the punt returner and doing a great job, and then having that big return, setting up a shorter field, I thought was huge. The team was prepared. They were ready to go today, and they brought the energy, and that's kind of what you worry about in a game like this, right? Is the team going to come out flat? Are they going to be, fired up? Are they going to take this opponent lightly? And that was my only concern for the Bills in this game. And they answered the bell. They came prepared and they were fired up. And so it was really good to see that. And I want to credit Kyle Williams for that, as far as, I'm sure he was a piece of that, of talking to the guys and getting them fired up and making sure that they didn't take this for granted. We'll go over some of the overall stats for the game. I thought it was pretty crazy. For a game that was so close at halftime, almost tied, right? If it wasn't for that 50-yard field goal, the yards, and the stats couldn't have told a bigger story. So, total plays, the Bills had 72 to the Broncos 42, so had 30 more plays. Third down efficiency, the Bills were over 50% at 8 for 15. The Broncos were 2 for 9. 4th down efficiency, the Bills were 2 for 2. The Broncos were 1 for 3. Yards, the Bills had 473 total yards. The Broncos had 224. This is a fantastic defense. It was number 1 in EPA, and the Bills put up 471 yards. I mean, they absolutely dominated on the ground to start the game. That set the tone. And then from there, the passing game really took over, like we talked about with Student. When you get that run game established and you're really breaking runs off. I mean, I think through halftime they were averaging like over 6 yards a carry across 3 different players: Josh, Cook, and Ty Johnson. And so when you can do that, it really puts a lot of strain on the defense. They have to start coming up, and then you're able to play action off of that, and guys are more open. So I thought that was huge for this game, was establishing that run, really get it going, and then work the pass off of that. So yards per pass, the Bills had 9.3 yards per pass, almost double the Broncos. They were at 5.8. Both teams allowed 2 sacks, and these are two teams that don't get sacked a lot. The Bills are the least sacked team, and the Broncos are right up there with allowing very few sacks. So I thought that was big for the Bills to get some pressure and get some sacks. Milano had the one, and then Greg Rousseau had the other. Bills with over 200 rushing yards. That is just incredible, man. Like 200 rushing yards, and they were over 100 in the first half, which is like I said, which is really what set the tone. They had 44 rush attempts and averaged 4.8 yards per carry. That is just dominant on the offensive line, man. Just dominant. The Bills will need the 5 presidents next weekend to lead the charge. Hey, we are joined by Du Neffy, my partner in crime, on this weekend edition of No One to Blame. What's up, buddy?
Let's go. How we feeling, Buffalo?
Man, great. What a game. What a great performance. What a way to build, right? Like, It's nice. Not only is it nice to win, but I equated this game to like the feeling of the Colts game. Do you remember that against Phillip Rivers, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Man, I don't really want to play this team. Like they're kind of a little dangerous. The right. Yep. Things could go their way. It's a weird matchup, right? And So I was a little worried about this game, and especially the early stage. I was worried that they might jump on us
After the
early.
first 5 plays.
Right, man. And man, it's just nice to win a game in all, I won't say all phases because Smiley, but Bass made his kicks right. Offense played great, and the defense played great. And I really think that's something to build on. Also, injuries, like there wasn't any crazy injuries. I know Ray Davis, like that sucks. I hope he's okay. I know Taryn got dinged up, but he came back in and played.
Yeah, that was huge having him come back, dude.
Right, massive, man. You cannot
Came back
afford to
physical
miss him.
too, right?
Right.
He wasn't shying away from any contact, which I thought was a good sign.
Totally agree. And then Alec Anderson went out with the calf, but he came back in too. I saw him late coming back in.
He was an
too,
animal
so-
today, dude.
Dude, brawler, man. Love
Bringing
it.
the
And that-
nasty.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, man, is like they were prepared today. They were fired up. The extracurricular stuff, they were aggressive. The hits were there. Matt Collins on that punt. They were blocking, late and into the whistle, and that's what you got to do, man. And next week they got to bring it, man. There's no time to lay off. There's no time to not, put in the extra nasty, and I think we really set the tone.
What an awesome way to try and redeem that poor performance from earlier this year than in our house against Lamar, who's in more MVP talk. I know students sick of it. I think everyone in Buffalo is probably sick of it at this point. But you know what? After the MVP, who cares? If we go out and win that game and make some serious noise this year and get to the Super Bowl, that's all that matters, dude. And I think Josh would share that same sentiment. You know what I mean? How about unsung hero today with Codrington being out? How about Shakir and the boys return and kicks, and Shakir breaking off that big one, man? I thought that was huge for the guys today.
Yeah, I talked about that, and it is huge. I mean, guys just stepping up, right? I thought that was the difference in the game for me as a whole. Just the theme was guys were prepared today. They didn't make mistakes. When it was their time, they made the big plays. You can go the big Kincaid catch, Curtis Samuel stepping up in his first playoff game, the Ty Johnson catch, Khalil Shakir doing the punt returning. I thought just overall, guys stepped up. They made plays when their number was called, and that was huge today. And I just credit to the coaching staff and then being prepared. But yeah, it's a good call out, man. Shakir was awesome. What a luxury it is to have him, man. He's so underrated. He's so, man, just after the catch,
solid,
he runs so hard, man. What up, Don?
What up, Don?
And just man, I just love watching him play, man.
When he made that catch for that first down, took that hit and got some more yak after, and then you see Ed Oliver then pop up off the bench, dude. The juice that these guys bring for each other, defense, offense, dude. I love it. The team is with it right now, dude. I'm pumped, man, and they don't look satisfied. Right. They look hungry. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that was like right before you came on. It was student had brought up Kyle Williams being called in for this game, and I was talking about like having him go in the locker room and be able to talk to players and then be reminded of him and what he went through, and just don't waste these opportunities, man. Like it doesn't. You're in, man. Now it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter how many All Pros or Pro Bowls or who's favored or any of that shit. Like. Yeah, it's just every play, man. Just give it your all and execute and see how it comes out. And I thought that was huge, man. They came out and they were ready to play.
How about those? And I'm sure I missed the first 40 minutes of the show. So how about those defensive adjustments though by Babbage, dude? How are we feeling there?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, and no, that's a great call out. Like, Milano is the spy in Russian 3. Steve Noble, one of our viewers, brought that comment up as well. And yeah, it was some great adjustments. I thought they really disguised a lot, and you could see Bo like not feeling confident and having to try to put the ball in some of those windows and try to have to throw the ball down the field some more on those late downs. And make things tough on them, man. Make receivers have to make tough catches, especially over the middle. You saw guys not want to do that, right? Some short arming and just some drops, and I thought that's what you want to do, right? You didn't see a lot of that behind the line of scrimmage, those giving up those easy catches to then run after the catch. You didn't see a lot of that, and I thought that was a really good job by Babbage.
Yeah, I thought though, like you said, the whole team just looked prepared, man. And I know in just the poise you have. Big play. They go up 7-0, and the poise that this team has to they don't even flinch, dude. right down the field. Didn't get 7 right back, but then we did, 5 minutes later. Or, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I'm pumped to see what this team's going to bring next week. I think it's going to be Sunday Night Football, right?
I think so. On the broadcast, Romo and Nance said that they were going to do that game was Bills Baltimore. So that definitely means Sunday. I don't know if they've called a Saturday playoff game. So I'm guessing Sunday afternoon would be my guess.
Don't you think that'd be Sunday Night Football?
So Tommy said the rumor was it would be 6:30 p.m. because they do that weird 2:30, 6:30.
Right.
So it could be the 6:30. I would love a night game, man. Like. Oh, and Buffalo would be rocking.
Yeah, we need it. So who's leading the charge next week? What's your prediction?
I don't know, man.
So many good ones to choose from. Who are we pulling out of our bag for this? This is a massive game, dude.
That'd be tough,
especially what is McDermott 1-3 in the divisional now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Who would fire them up more than like Alexander? But he's done it before.
Yeah, it might be, dude. You could have a repeat. It doesn't have to be someone new, right?
Right. I could see like Zoe. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have any names that come to mind? Will and Ewood. Ewood's got to be up in the booth, but that
would be incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, wouldn't it be great to have someone? I wish like Fitz or someone. Someone Fitz would light that place.
Oh, dude,
up,
that's a perfect call. He said he wanted to be at the game. He said he was gonna be at the game. If the Bills won, so maybe he comes to the game, man, and that would be incredible. That would be incredible if he does the. That's the only person I could think of that would fire up more than Kyle Williams. Man, you're so right. Like, yeah, dude. Oh, I was at that game where he was in the stands against New England, that playoff game with Don. Don and I were sitting together. Oh, that's awesome. And he was actually like down a couple sections down from us. And man, yeah, he legendary, dude. Like, so incredible with just in the stands with his son, like man of the people.
Right. That'd be it. Yeah. I mean, I think this is such a huge game, dude. Did you look at the line yet? Did the line come out?
I saw the look-ahead line, which a lot of people were saying the NFL's rigged because FanDuel had posted the line already before the game even started. It was Bills -1.5. So
what?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
What would have been your guess?
Oh, Baltimore 2.5.
Really? All right, so it's up right now. It's Bills -1.5. All right, so what is Texans Chiefs?
I haven't looked, but I would say KC 6.5, -6.5.
Close, man. 7.5, -7.5.
Oh wow, they want some Texans money bad.
They
if you're laying
bad.
that 7.5, dude.
Bad. Yeah.
Don't take the free cheese, people.
I talked with Don. I thought so. What'd you think the line would be? Ravens at Bills. What would have been your guess?
Don or me?
No, you. What do you think? Don and I talked about it before.
I said 2.5. I said Ravens -2.5.
That's what Don said.
Yeah. It's like we all work for the same company or something, dude.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that flips for sure. I think a lot of once the narratives start going and they start bringing up that week 3 game and 35-10 and Bills can't stop the run and you're going to hear all that shit and good. Good. I keep talking about it. Make it really known, right?
Yep.
Like Bills can't do this. Bills are going to get dominated. Derrick Henry, Lamar. I love it. I would love that line to move. Let the Bills be underdogs at home.
What did the Bills close as against the Chiefs? Did the Bills close as slight favorites, or was it the same line movement we'll probably see with this game?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. But this has that type of energy, dude.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. Let the Bills be home dogs, man. I love that. This team embraces it, man. As good as that Eagles team that won the Super Bowl with the dog masks. You know what I'm saying?
No, I totally agree. That's a great call out as far as like an equivalent team, as far as a team, man. Like embracing an identity, embracing each other, and just playing, dude. No, don't care who does what. Just everybody plays. Be counted out, and just go get it.
Yep. I'm juiced up, man. I'm juiced up. What else
All
we
right,
got
so
here?
well, I'd say get back to the game for you. What was let's go with your offensive and defensive player of the game.
Oh man, offense, dude. I gotta go. Cook, man. He came out the gate hot. He went. I don't remember what he ended up with, but I mean, those first half, was he at 70, 80 rushing yards the first half? I mean,
Yeah. Cook
enforcing
ended
our
up with
will,
120 yards on 23 carries, so
right?
5.2 yard average.
I mean,
Monster, man.
that's exactly why that's why we drafted this dude. I mean, he put on 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason, man. He's running downhill at some points, which I love to see. He was my offensive player of the game, dude. I think that set everything else up. There could have been a bunch. What was
No, you're that's a good call out though. I mean that more tough running has been just huge, man. You saw it this game. He got bottled up a couple times and just kept churning, turning and falling forward. I thought that
one
was
where
his
they pushed
biggest
him forward?
Yeah, dude, that was awesome.
16 yards that is pushing him forward. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, wasn't that his big knock, and why a lot of fans were frustrated with him was that he was, the negative runs, the getting shoestring tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And don't get me wrong, some of that is on the line of scrimmage for sure in the offensive line, but he's running over his feet, he's falling forward, he's making the first guy miss a lot, he's running through arm tackles, and it's just huge, man. When you can get positive yardage on those runs, man, it's huge for this offense.
Instead of getting bottled up for nothing on first down.
Right, second and 10, second and 12.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Absolutely, dude.
So,
it's always about positive yardage. Just get back to the basics, right?
Yeah,
who's your offensive player for the game?
I'd have to go with offensive line just in general, and I know it's a slight cop out, but even in pass pro, I mean, the time Josh got sacked twice, but that wasn't offensive line. I mean, he had a lot of time, and again, this is the number one sack defense they're going against. 63 sacks they've had this year.
Dude, their defense is really good.
Really good.
And we
really
put up
good.
31 on them, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, and especially late downs too. I thought they did a really good job. Josh obviously does a great job, but the Bills' EPA per play on late down passing is just incredible in this game. It's 1.17.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, for people that aren't familiar with like EPA, like a good number, anything positive is good, but like a good number is like 0.1. Like a 0.1 is like a really good, right? So like we talked about our rushing offense, right? It was really good. So across the whole game, our rushing offense was 0.12 EPA, which is really good, especially for late, all those late runs that we had. But the Bills passing offense on late downs, so third and fourth down, was 1.17. That is unreal.
Are you talking EPA per play or
EPA per play? EPA per play on late down passing was 1.17. The Broncos in the same situation on third and fourth down was negative 0.71.
Yeah. That's insane, dude. So for reference here, Baltimore led the league this year, EPA per play with a 0.21, and we were right behind them with a 0.18. EPA per play on offense. So we're 1.7. Is
that pass and rush total? Like
yep.
Okay, so in this game, all plays, right, on running and passing in this game, we were 0.32 EPA.
Dude. Yeah.
Unreal, dude.
So unreal. 0.11 points above the team that led the league. I mean,
and then Josh Allen specifically. Josh Allen, he had 38 plays for Josh Allen runs and pass for him. 0.6 EPA a play. That's unreal. For the game, his total EPA for the game was 22.9. That is unreal. Yeah, the guy was unreal. It was one of his best, like most efficient games in the playoffs in his career, and that's saying a lot. But especially throwing the ball down the field. We talked about it to open the show, but down the field, it was unreal. He was 4 of 6, 140 yards, I think 146 yards, like just unreal, man. Against the blitz, he had a 75% success rate against the blitz. Just crazy. It ranked 4th out of 140 games since 2000 against the blitz. Like that's how elite Josh was in that team, man.
Josh in the wild card, you just don't want to play Josh Allen in the wild card. His stats are insane. 20 for 26 today, 272, 2 tuds. To QBR 87.8, a rating of 135.4. Like you don't want to play these guys. And all we heard about was Denver. We saw the line move from 9.5 down to 7.5, and yeah, no one to blame on Saturday. I told you, man. Josh has got Bronco blood in him, dude.
Yep,
This is gonna be a
he
bloodbath.
does.
You know,
He does. Yep.
they just Denver's gonna be good. They will be, but they're just this spot was too big for them, in my opinion. You saw Bo Nix get wide eyed after a while, like
for sure. I mean, I think his team didn't do him favors. Some of those
Nope.
drop passes were really bad, and
Yep.
and that's what you need, not only as a 7 seed or an underdog, but as a rookie quarterback, you need guys to make plays for you. You saw the opposite with the Bills. Some guys made some great catches for the Bills, and so.
Yep.
You know, it's hard to knock Bo Nix too much. I think he's going to be really good. I don't think he looked like that bad in this game.
No, I don't either. I just, you know, he Romo even pointed it out, you know.
No, for sure. You're right.
You know,
though.
he misses. It's just he's a rookie quarterback, dude. He's gonna take time. Josh did the same thing against Houston in his first playoff game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's gonna be fine. This team's gonna be good, man. I mean, they're locked in for a while. How about Estime being inactive? That was odd.
Yeah, we talked about that, and you know, before the game in our group chat, and I thought that was really interesting because, you know, he brings the nasty, man. He's a power runner, and they didn't have that element in this game, man. And it was really interesting because, you know, they had Bidet, or however you say his name. You know, they brought him in.
Bidet.
I think that's how they say it, dude, which is really weird. But
I'm just putting it all together right now.
I know. But you know, Peyton was saying, you know, in some of the pregame stuff, oh, you know, we have a package for him. We really liked what we saw in practice from him, and it's like, okay, so it was just to like flare him out and throw him the ball. Like you already had guys who could do that, right? Like that's Jaleel, that's Javonta, but they're missing that power downhill running. And man, like you know, the Bills held the Broncos for I think through 3 quarters to 12 rushes for 39 yards. Like That's how you win a game, you know. And
absolutely.
I thought the Broncos abandoned the run way too early, but part of that is the Bills getting them out of that, right? Is scoring, you know, limiting any type of explosive run. You know, those are how you force, you know, teams out of running the ball.
Yep. Dude, how about Milano going step for step with Bo Nix, chasing him down on that one play, not letting him to get any positive yardage. There was a 3rd down play, I believe, too. And it was 4 yard, 3rd and 4, I think. And, you know, Bo Nix is fast.
Yep.
And Milano going step for step, dude. I was like, dude, he's back. He is back, dude. He looked physical today. He was flying around the field. I thought Rousseau played awesome. This dude just keeps getting better, dude.
He's so good against the run, man. But
I haven't dove into anything stat wise, but
yeah, he was really good. I agree. I think Milano's. You see him; he's gotten better every week, right? You've seen him get better every single week, and that's going to be massive, man. If the Bills are going to go on a run here, they need both those guys. They need Milano and they need Rousseau. And I thought Vaughn had a good game too. I mean, you saw him have a couple good pressures there.
He's getting after at the end, yeah.
He is, man, and they're going to need that for sure. I can't wait to go back and watch, you know, the interior. I didn't really see a ton from Ed. Now, granted, this Broncos defensive line is very good. I talked about on my show, all 5, you know, all starters on the Broncos offensive line are in the top 20 in at least one category of run blocking or pass blocking. Like it is a very, very, very good offensive line.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting a ton, but we did blitz quite a bit, and they weren't necessarily getting there a lot, and so I do worry about that a little bit. But next week's a completely different style opponent, completely different game plan. But I was really happy with the back 7. You know, outside of that early drive, I thought they played really well in coverage. They were making windows tight. They were forcing some tough throws, and I was really happy with that.
James Cook towards the end of that game, I don't know if he looked a little, I don't want to say banged up, but like just physically, he looked like worn down. I'm hoping he gets some rest. And then when Ray Davis went out, dude, I was a little nervous there because it looked like James Cook was only getting, you know, half yard, 1 yard, where he was, you know, get 3-4. So how about unsung hero here, Ty Johnson, dude? Ty Johnson.
All year, man. Just all year.
Yes, dude. And he's just ripping them off left and right for us. Every time you need him, that touchdown catch was unbelievable. Dude.
Unreal, man. Yeah, he had 9 carries, 44 yards, so 4.9 yards average. He had a long of 11. And he had the 2 catches for 26 yards, the big one being the 24-yard one for a touchdown, but the other one converted a first down. And, I agree with you, man. Like, they changed stuff up when Cook was in there too. They talked about it a little on the broadcast, but Broncos went to they run a 3-4, and so what they were doing when Cook was in there is they would have 5 guys on the line of scrimmage lined up against all 5 of our offensive linemen, and so they were trying to muddy those lanes and make it tougher for Cook to get going. You didn't see us try to go outside a ton. You didn't see a lot of toss plays in this game with Cook, which I thought was interesting. There must have been something in the game plan about that, maybe not wanting to risk any negative runs. But, yeah, man, Ty Johnson, he comes in, he runs hard. And I love his style, man. Like, I talked about the same thing with Cook about running over your feet, right, with a running back. Right. And I love that, man. Like, you're always falling forward. You're always running with heavy pads, right? Your weight is always going forward. And he's the epitome of that, man. He's aggressive. He's fast. One cut, get downhill, man. I love it.
Here you go. Jake.
Yes. We student teed me up for this earlier, but I've been calling for it since before the season. He's awful, man. I hate calling for a guy to be fired, but we've seen it all year, man. Just he doesn't self-scout. He doesn't have his guys prepared. How do you not know that Sean Payton of all guys is going to run a fake at some point? And
they're talking about it on like the broadcast before the game.
And you know what's even more frustrating too is like, dude, you have Shakir back there, bro. You're not trying to set up for a return. You're not worried about trying to break one off. Like, why do you even care about jamming? Why do you even care about being up on the gunners? It should have been drop back, give them 10, 15 yards, right? And just watch what's going on in the backfield. Be prepared for anything kind of thing. It was
a very interceptable ball too, dude.
Yes, dude.
He just turned around.
It was a 30-yard pass, bro. Like,
dude,
it floated.
It took 8 seconds to get there.
Yep. It was it's just so frustrating. Like, the whole thing around, it's different if it was like late in the game and we need a return to, it's a tie game or something. And, they ran it from their own 30 and that situation would have been like shocking, but that didn't really shock people in that situation, right? Like, you knew that they were going to do it at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys. So, okay, NFC real quick. Eagles are up 10-0 on Green Bay. Third quarter, Green Bay's got the ball right now. I don't have it on my TV. I just got it on the game.
I got it up. Green Bay's got the ball at the 16-yard line, 1st and 10. Big Jacobs run.
Slay got hurt, came back on the field, but Dean, dude,
carted to the locker room.
Yeah, so that's going to be tough.
What was the injury? I didn't see it.
I didn't quite understand either. It's got to be leg, obviously, somewhere in the leg.
He looked like he knew it was bad.
Yeah.
Well,
I ran down here to get on with you. I didn't get to see anything else after it, so I leave my man hanging.
Yeah, the Slay one didn't look good either, man. It was
no. I'm surprised he came back.
It's almost like a hyperextended elbow or something, or a dislocated elbow or something weird. But yeah, he came back in. So
I'm assuming he's playing too, right?
I'm trying to look for him now, but
Kobe Dean, it was a knee injury. I think
he's done.
He got fell on. I think I fell on him. I think when he was tackling him. So
yeah, Don said he's going to join us, so he's coming on. Yeah. Green Bay trying to impose their will a little bit. What do you think about the night game tonight? You got anything with Washington, Tampa Bay?
I grabbed Washington 3.5 at one point. What up, Don?
What up?
There he is.
Gotta fix the headset real quick.
Okay,
good.
We'll keep talking.
Yeah, so I had grabbed Washington plus 3.5, and obviously, if you watch No One to Blame, we got bets left, right, and center on all these games.
Yeah, we do. Dude.
But dude, I think Tampa is the side, man. I do.
Yeah.
I think Washington. I think Tampa's gonna run it right down their throat. What's up, Don?
Yeah. You think I'm hoping for fireworks in that game, man. I want a lot of points. I want both quarterbacks running around, making crazy plays. Like,
I can probably go down to that game, maybe get,
Yeah, dude, you live literally like 10 minutes from Raymond James.
I'm like 12 with traffic.
Jeez. Why didn't you go, dude? Well, I don't care about Tampa Bay. I would have gone to the game. I don't care about
Tampa Bay. I just watched the game.
Hey, I'm gonna go finish my dinner. Don, thanks for coming on. Go Bills.
I think we're setting a new record for longest post game of all time for Duke Championship.
I love it.
Hey, it's
I love
playoffs, man. You gotta
Go Bills, man.
Live
No
it
one to
up.
blame. It's going to be
one to
live
blame.
Tuesday at 9 p.m. Make sure y'all tune in. See you then.
Tucker Kraft get me 2 more yards. That would be real nice.
Maybe.
He's at 23.
Rushing yards.
All right, Don. So let's get back to the Bills game. I don't want to move on too fast. I don't want to undersell this game. Like we endured 17 years of no playoffs. I don't want to take them ever for granted. So I want to enjoy this. What was your high and low from the game? We'll do the peak and the pit for these guys. What was your peak and the pit?
I'm gonna go pit first. I don't know if the Bills can get out of their own way on these first drives of the game. I feel like I don't know what the odds are to bet against the Bills for teams scoring touchdowns on these scripted drives.
Well, we talked about it on the phone right before the game.
Yeah, you and I had discussed it. We were
like, do we bet on Denver scoring a touchdown on the first drive?
Yeah, we had a conversation about it. It was like plus 350 or something like that. And it was just I don't know.
What a throw. What a catch.
I'm concerned that we cannot start like that against Baltimore.
No, I completely agree.
Like we can't have that happen. And then I don't want to see us take the ball either.
Right. And I talked about that for a little bit about like deferring. I love that. I love not getting the ball first. But that first drive defense is so frustrating for me because you see teams prepare for us. They have new stuff. They have wrinkles. Like they know our tendencies on that first drive, and so they're trying to scheme against it. And so that's what's frustrating. It's not so much about like them dinking and dunking all the way down and executing well. It's them actually like exploiting us for big plays, explosive plays.
And the Bills, you and I talked about this. I feel like we talked about this in week 6 or something like that, where McDermott's defense has always been the first drive. They don't like to show much. They don't disguise coverages. They rarely blitz. They just kind of sit back and almost let the other team go down the field and score and then kind of show their true colors the second quarter almost. Yeah. And I think these next hopefully 3 weeks, but at least next week, like that's a recipe for disaster against Baltimore. You do not want to let them start with the ball, go down, score, and then go, 3 and out or don't get any points on the board. And then they go down and score again. And you're down 14-0, just like the last game. Or similar to last game.
No,
so
I
think
agree.
It's going to be really important to
both sides of the ball, right?
Early.
Both sides have to score early and prevent scoring early, at least hold to field goals and score early. I think that's the key to Baltimore. You cannot get down early to Baltimore. You cannot get down early. All right, so what was your peak for the game?
Yeah, so peak, it's got to be the offensive line on the ground. I mean, after that first drive, they just set the tone.
Yep.
I mean, I know you guys talked about it a little bit. The 16-yard James Cook run with I can't remember who came in and just basically picked up Cook and dragged him for 10 more yards where the whole offensive line got in there.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, man.
That was huge.
They definitely set the tone.
I was getting ready to put it out, but by the time I got ready to put that out, I think on that drive, Josh, he threw 3 passes for a total of, I think it was 2 7-yarders and a 5-yarder. I think 2 of them were on third down, but like it was an 81-yard drive and 60 of them were on the ground. I think, Josh had like a 7-yard scramble.
Was that the 15-play, 86-yard drive?
No.
7 minutes, 35.
No, it was the first touch. I think it was the first touchdown.
Yeah, that was their first touchdown drive. 15 plays, 86 yards, 7 minutes and 35 seconds. James Cook capped it off with a 5-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think ESPN had it as a 13-play drive because of
they didn't count the penalties. Yeah,
the penalties didn't count. But just the offensive line setting the tone right there. I mean, you could tell the crowd got into it. The defense got a huge break, right? Like the defense was able to just stay off the field for a while. And then I think both coaches said it before halftime was time of possession I mean, that was a monster drive, and then the
was
drive
massive.
right before, even though they got a field goal out of it on the first drive of the game, like another time-consuming drive, and
Yeah, it was 2-1
Oh.
at halftime of time
Yeah.
of possession.
which
So
I think we talked about it in the post game after the first Patriots game. Was like, how were the Patriots going to beat the Bills? It was time of possession, and they almost did. In the
Yep.
first half, they crushed us with time of possession. I think it was the exact opposite today. So
yeah,
um,
yeah. What about on defense? What was your peak on defense?
I don't know if there was anything that what's Spin got to say here.
If we can match our time of possession this game and do it again next week, I think it will lead to good thing for the Bills. Yeah, the time of possession thing's a tricky thing though, because
Yeah.
yes, it's usually always good to have more time of possession than their team. Like it usually it's like turnovers, right? Like it usually correlates with winning. The only difference is you got to score when you have time of possession. You got to get touchdowns. You
Can't come away with 3 points.
Right. If the other team's getting quick scores but getting touchdowns and your long drives and you're punting or field goals, it doesn't matter. And so I think next week's going to be about scoring, man. I think it's going to be about scoring and who can score more than 30 points. I think the winner's got to get at least 30.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But time possession goes a long way there, right? If you can limit theirs, it's massive.
But yeah, going back to your question, defense was tricky. Like, I think for the run defense is probably the first thing I want to look at. Last night on Third and Manageable, they asked E. Wood, what his key to the game was, and it was making the Denver offense one-dimensional. And I think they did that. They took away the running game.
They were 12 carries, 39 yards is what I saw through like the third quarter.
What I'm gonna check on it right now, but like, what was outside of Bo Nix? Like, how many rushing yards did Denver have?
I think that was their running backs. Was 12 carries, 39 yards.
Okay, I'm gonna
for
take a look at
most
that.
of
But
that game.
I like the run defense. It works against Bo Nix because you're basically saying, let this rookie quarterback go beat me in Buffalo.
Yeah. But I think almost you have to do that against the Ravens as well. As it has to be like, we're going to stop. You can't do what Pittsburgh did, which is crash your DNs and try to take away the running back and leave Lamar unguarded, right? He's just going to pull it every time and run.
I think
what you have to do, though, is sell out to stop the run overall, right? And have a guy who's crashing in on Lamar. Like, that's what I would do. As I would all those RPOs, I'd go after Lamar, man, and hit him and make.
Would, if I'm the Bills, I'm gonna go look at the 5 games they lost, especially against like Cleveland. Cleveland's defense is really good. Obviously, they have some really good players on that.
The problem with the Ravens and the games that they lost, though, is a lot of it they were beating themselves. So even against that Steelers game where they lost, they led the league for most of the season in penalties. I think they were either first or second in penalties. So a lot of it is like stuff that they beat themselves. And so I'm not sure. Like, I worry. I don't know if you're going to find a ton there. I think really it's making Lamar beat you from in the pocket, having to throw the ball. And
I mean, the Bills have had
Lamar's.
The Bills have had Lamar's number in the postseason. There is obviously a recipe for beating them, but a recipe for beating them in the postseason with Derrick Henry's different.
I just think everything has to be stopping the run, man, and that includes Lamar.
I mean, you just go.
You go one-on-one,
heavy man, cover. Just play cover
one. Yep. And it doesn't necessarily mean you all out stack the box. I talked about that with Student. It doesn't mean you got to overload the box or heavy bodies or any of that. It just means like all your keys, what you're looking for, everything needs to be for the run. And then you're going to give up some stuff, and that's okay. But you cannot let them just grind you down running the ball.
How much of that changes if Flowers plays?
That's a good point. I think it changes. I think it changes a little bit for sure. Yeah, because he's a tough matchup one-on-one. I don't think you want to leave anyone one-on-one with him. But then you're just shading your guy to that side. And help.
And I don't think either of our corners match up. I mean, definitely not Douglas matches up well.
No, and I think that's the thing though, because Bateman is really underrated as well. Man, that dude can really
separates. Man. Really.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it's definitely something to watch. All right, so another cool stat about Josh, because I love Josh stats. Allen completed all 4 of his deep passes today, so 30 or more yards, for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. He now leads all quarterbacks with 23 completions for 791 yards on passes of 20 or more air yards in the postseason since 2018. So since he entered the NFL, he leads all quarterbacks in the playoffs in passes over 20 yards. It's pretty awesome. He was super efficient. That was one of the knocks this year on him. One of the few is his deep ball, right? And not being super accurate with his deep ball. He was very accurate today. And Kincaid and Ty made 2 unbelievable catches. I mean, I don't even know if that Kincaid catch was a catch,
I don't
right?
think it was.
There wasn't a good angle, though. I never saw a good angle of it hitting the ground, but it sure looked like it was about.
They did the right thing, though. Like, Kincaid was like, let's go. They got up. They ran a play. It was going to be a 2-yard run kind of thing, but they did the right thing. That was an interesting drive. Was that the drive that finished the game? Was that the last drive of the game?
Which one?
The Kincaid catch?
No. You mean like the
then-
Bills' last touchdown one? Nope. It was their second to last touchdown was the long one to Kincaid. I'm trying to find
yeah,
it
we
here
got
in the drive tracker.
Spin saying the ball hit the ground. Definitely was not a catch.
Was it a field goal drive? Yeah, it was a field goal drive. So you're right. It was
short
15
field goal.
plays, 90 yards. And that one was 3rd and 4, and it was a 35-yard pass to Kincaid. They got on the ball quick. The next play was an 8-yard run by Ty Johnson. It looked like half of Denver's defense wasn't even playing.
Yeah. Someone said that, I know you guys were talking about it, and Tommy had hinted towards it, something about a 6:30 game tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night.
That's
but
the
next week.
rumor is next Sunday
Okay.
in the night game. So they usually do the 2:30 or, you know what I mean? The 2
Yeah,
and
it's
6
like the
o'clock
weird.
games.
Well, isn't that usually? I thought that was on Saturday, and Sunday's kind of the normal schedule programming, or could I be wrong?
It's 4 games, so I think they try to
2
eat
and
up that
2, though.
time. Yeah, so
Okay.
they do it at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. What else are they gonna do? 1 and 4?
For Sunday,
Yeah,
just a 4 and 8:30.
I don't think so. I think they do it.
I don't know what they
staggered,
did
but
last year.
I'm sure you could Google it real quick. Let me
Yeah.
look it up.
Yeah, hopefully Southwest can show that on their flights, because I was the idiot who scheduled a flight.
Both
at
1 seeds
6:30
play
at
on
night.
Saturday, is what he says.
Okay. Which would make sense, probably, according to, Spin's got that here. I would understand that. I don't expect actually, I don't, I'm lying if I would be lying to myself if I thought my next statement would be true, but the NFL probably wouldn't schedule the Bills on 6 days rest, but like the NFL does what they want to do.
Yeah, they do
In the
whatever the hell
playoffs.
they want, man.
Right. Like how typical would that be that the Bills get 1 full day of rest less and they give us a Saturday game?
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but like be typical.
So it says Saturday 4:30, and then 8:15 is the Saturday games, and then
Okay,
the
so then
Sunday
Sunday will be
games
like an earlier.
3 and 6:30.
Okay.
So
All right. I don't know which one I'm rooting for because I'm going to be on a flight most of the day.
so if the 1 seeds play Saturday, then and we have Romo and Nance. What time do Romo and Nance usually go? Last year, did they call the divisional game?
CBS, so I don't know. Does Sunday Night Football get that last game? Does ABC get it?
I don't know.
Because if ABC gets it, then it's going to be the 3:30 game. We'll probably know tonight.
Yeah. I can't find out.
2 games
Yeah.
Saturday. Bills play on CBS. Spin thinks they play on CBS. Yeah.
Yeah, they do because it's Romo and
They
Nance.
do.
They
Yeah.
they already.
Is that
put it on the
confirmed though? I know
broadcast.
there was hinted. I know
They confirmed it on the broadcast.
Okay.
So
I won. Yeah, Nance and Roma said they're calling the Bills game. So
I'm just reading to see when they did it before. It looks like they've done the 4:00 game before, but I don't know what they're gonna do this year.
yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll find out
I don't-
soon.
don't know how
I don't
much
think I don't think it matters. I prefer the night game just for the Bills atmosphere.
Yeah.
Um,
I I know I said it in the comments. I would love if Fitz did it. Pardon the dogs. Hang on, I gotta kick the dogs out of the room.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd prefer the late game, just the 6:30 Sunday game, just because it's a great atmosphere and a wild game. But I'm not sure it really matters 3:00 or 6:30. Bills Ravens gonna be raucous. The place is gonna be rocking. I am interested. Don, who do you think is gonna be the legend of the game next week? Who can top Kyle Williams?
I would love your guys' take. I would love if it was Fitz.
Yeah,
that would be just sick.
That'd be nuts.
Like
man.
would Fitz?
He said
would
it, dude,
Fitz,
on the pregame last
I
week.
know.
He said,
Would-
I dare you, NFL, send me to Buffalo for the wild card weekend. They obviously didn't, but
would Fitz come out shirtless? We got to put a poll out for that.
he should. He should do
That would be
rile the crowd up shirtless.
that would be legendary.
Awesome.
Yeah, Fitz, or it's got to be someone that we had. It was a figure. I don't think it should be someone from like the '90s either. I think you need someone that can like really bring some energy.
That's what I was saying. Like maybe like Alonzo, Zoe coming back for one, Alexander.
Yeah, I mean Zoe was great, but he wasn't like a. I don't know. When you think Bills, you don't really think Zoe, in my opinion.
Right. Well, that's like drought era. Like, who would you pick besides Kyle, man? Like, I don't know. We've already done like Fred, Jackson.
Yeah, Freddie's done it. CJ doesn't need to have it.
Stevie Johnson.
Stevie. I mean, you could bring Fred back. I think he's
did the Fred.
Yeah,
I
you
love
could bring
Fred,
him
man.
back.
He's my neighbor here. He lives right across the border from me.
Not Eric Mold's. There's some.
I love Molds, man. Look what he did with Shakir, man.
I love Spoles, but they won't Molds. He had some bad PR stuff happen not long ago, I think. I don't know.
Don't be spreading false information.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw that earlier in the year, a couple weeks ago.
Let's see. Who would be another good one? I don't know. That's tough, man. Like Shady would be good, but I don't know if he's not going to up Kyle Williams, though, is the problem.
No,
like you set the bar so high with Kyle Williams.
I would love.
You've already done all the legends, though. Like, right?
Yeah, they've done so many legends. I mean, Jim Kelly would be great, but like, I don't know how much energy I would love if Jim did it, but like, I don't know if he
didn't he do the game we went to, the New England playoff game?
I think he did do the New England when it was 0 degrees outside. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think I don't know how much it matters, but like Fitz would be awesome.
Brian Moorman.
That
would be awesome.
Or like Ryan Lindell and Brian Moorman, the two best players during the Bills drought.
Oh, Goddard just manned him to the end zone. Wow, that was filthy.
Yeah, Moorman would be legendary, actually.
He would be great. Yeah, man. All right, well, any other thoughts about this game before we close it out?
No, I know you guys covered it. I mean, this is going on like hour and a half now.
Yeah. All right, well, quick word from our network sponsors real quick, and then we'll close it out.
We'll wrap it up, yeah.
All right, man. Well, big game. Obviously, guys stepped up. Josh Allen stepped up. The defense stepped up. Lots of players of the game. Lots to talk about for the rest of this week. Super excited to see what you have in store for us as the social media manager and what you're pumping out content-wise. Definitely watch our social medias for our shows coming up because the schedule might adjust as
Depending on when the game
depending
is.
on when the game is, right? Like my show Saturday night is probably going to be moved. I think Third and Manageable is going to be Saturday night in my normal time slot, 9 Eastern time, unless the Bills are somehow have the game then. I'm pretty sure we're going to be Sunday sometime. So definitely check out the socials for that. And then No One to Blame with Dude Neffy and Kevin. Their Sunday show, morning show, is going to be moved to Saturday morning. So look for that one, Saturday morning, 11:30 Eastern time for all your player props, betting, and covering all 4 of the games for the divisional round. We'll definitely go over every game since it's 4 games and give you all our favorite plays and bets for that game. Don, do you have anything else before we close it out?
I don't. Just next week to the Bills, don't come out flat, come out hot. And they got a good chance at winning this game. I don't think that – I hope the line moves in favor of the Ravens. Just fire them up even more.
That's what we were saying. Move to the Ravens, man. Make the Bills the underdog. Talk all about how we got crushed week 3 and the Bills can't stop the run and you can't stop Derrick Henry and Lamar is the MVP and Lamar is so great. Talk it up. I love it. Talk it up. Let's make sure there's lots of bulletin board material for the boys.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in
throughout the week. And
yep.
Yeah. Let's good win today. Carry that momentum. Go Bills.
Yeah, boys.
Yes,
Go
sir.
boys.
Go Bills. Good to be
You
seen.
call her Stephanie, I call her Heavenly. You call her Stephanie, I call her Heavenly.